Good morning, everyone. So, previously we have started with the first lecture of hydrology, in which we have seen the definition of hydrology. What does it mean? What are the various application of hydrology in civil engineering? Okay, and we have seen about some of the factors of hydrological cycle, and we have discussed the water balance equation. And today we'll start with the measurement of rainfall. Okay, so as you all know that one of the main part of your hydrological cycle is your precipitation, and mostly in India you can see that the precipitation is mostly in the form of rainfall. Okay, so the measurement of rainfall is generally done by an instrument called as rain gauges. As you can see over here, it is mentioned over here that the measurement of rainfall is done by an instrument which is called as your rain gauge. Okay, the rainfall and the other form of precipitations are measured in terms of depth. You must have heard many times that uh, the rainfall was of 5 mm, the rainfall was of 2.5 mm. So basically the thing which they are saying that it is 2.5 mm or 5 mm is nothing but the depth of your rainfall. Basically rainfall is measured in terms of depth. It is generally expressed in terms of millimeters. Okay, after that it works on the principle that the amount of rainfall collected in a small area will represent the total amount of rainfall in large area provided the meteorological condition of both areas are identical. So the third point in this is that, so as you can see that if we install a rain gauge in a certain area, so we are assuming that whatever rain that get collected in that rain gauge, that represent the rainfall which is happening in the entire area, depending, but this condition depends on what it depends upon the meteorological condition. That means suppose there is a flat area, and if you are placing a rain gauge over here, okay, so it will represent this rain, whatever rain gets collected in this rain gauge will represent this whole area. Okay, so as you can see that this flat area is throughout the ground, so it should not be like this. Suppose this in this area that it is consisting of a flat ground. In this area there is a hill. So that is changing your, that is a different meteorological condition. Okay. So the condition for that is that it should be of same meteorological condition. Then only it is applicable. Otherwise it is not applicable. Okay. So whatever rain which is collected in this rain gauge will represent the total area. Okay, depending upon and provided the meteorological condition are identical in all the areas. Okay, so this is about the rainfall, measurement of rainfall. Instrument which is used is called as rain gauges. Rainfall is measured in depth and generally expressed in millimeters. Whatever rainfall gets collected in a rain gauge represent the entire area. Okay, after that the measurement of rainfall. Now we have different type of instruments available to measure the rainfall, out of which one is your non-recording type of rain gauge, second is your recording or automatic rain gauge. Okay, we will study about all these rain gauges in detail. So first one we are seeing is your weighing bucket type, second is your tipping bucket type, third is your float type rain gauge. Okay, the first one we will see that first one is your non-recording type of rain gauge. So it is also called as Siemens rain gauge. This is also known as Siemens rain gauge, and it is used for all government rain gauge station. So as you know that generally the data which has been provided by the government that this much amount of rainfall had occurred in your city, it is given by using the same rain gauge as an instrument. So they have their particular station from where they get the data. Okay, so this is, it is used generally Siemens. This non-recording type of rain gauge is mostly used in India, and it basically has a capacity of a glass bottle. So it consists of a glass bottle which can carry up to a depth of 100 mm of rainfall, which has been placed in a casing. So because it is a glass bottle, so it cannot be provided in open, otherwise it will break. So it is provided with a casing or a housing. Okay, a funnel with a brass rim is placed on the top of the bottle. So in order to collect water efficiently, a funnel has been provided on the top of that glass bottle. Okay, after that the rainfall collected in the bottle is measured at every 24 hours. So whatever rainfall gets collected in 24 hours, that has been measured, and generally the data has been taken at 8 a.m. in the morning. So in India, The rainfall data is mostly collected at 8 a.m. in morning. Okay, so this is about non-recording type of rain gauges. What it is also known as cement rain gauges. It is mostly used by the government of India. It consists of a glass bottle which is 100 mm, which has a capacity of 100 mm. Since it is a glass bottle, it is provided with a casing, a funnel. A funnel is provided on the top of the bottle. Okay, so that the water gets collected efficiently. The rainfall collected in the bottle is measured at every 24 hours, and generally the data is taken at 8 a.m. in the morning in India. Okay, after that you can see a diagram over here. You can see that there is a glass bottle provided. Okay, in this a funnel has been attached, and this whole assembly is provided with a casing or a housing. Okay, so whatever water gets collected, it gets collected through this funnel and ultimately drops into this bottle. So this is your non-recording type of rain gauge. It is also called as cement rain gauges. Okay, the second type is your automatic rain gauge. In this type of rain gauge, rainfall is automatically recorded on the graph paper. So in this, what is happening, whatever the rain gets collected with some mechanism, the graph paper has been provided over there, and some readings are drawn based on whatever the water gets collected in your rain gauge. Okay, so this is your automatic rain gauge. It records cumulative rainfall over the specific period of time. So it gives you a cumulative value of the rainfall for a specific period of time. So this is your automatic rain gauge. Now weighing bucket rain gauge. This is your first category. Weighing bucket rain gauge. This is basically your types, and this is the subtypes. So weighing bucket rain gauge we will study. So weighing bucket rain gauge, first point is that it is the most common type of self-recording type of rain gauge. It is the most commonly used self-recording type of rain gauges. Okay, the weight bucket rain gauge essentially consists of a receiver bucket supported by a spring or any other weighing mechanism. So whatever the bucket is there, it has been attached with a spring. Okay, so as you can see in this diagram, it consists of a bucket, and this bucket has been attached with a spring. Here you can see the spring. Okay, after that, next point, the movement of the bucket due to the increasing weight is transmitted to a pen which traces the record on the clock driven chart. Okay, as you can see that this spring has been attached with a pen, some mechanism which is attached with a pen, and there is a graph sheet over here. So as the water increases in this, what will happen? The graph will show the pen will move, and it will draw something on this graph based on the evaluation. The amount of rainfall is evaluated. Okay, so this is basically how your weighing bucket rain gauges work. So basically it consists of a bucket, and on the top it has been provided with a funnel, and this whole assembly is provided with a casing. So water gets collected through this funnel into the bucket, and as you know that this bucket has been attached with a spring. So as the weight of the rain, as the water gets collected gets more, its weight increases, and this buckets comes down. So it will with as the weight is increasing, so it is connected with a pen. So some mechanism will happen, and it will draw some diagram on this tracing paper, and based on that diagram we will evaluate the amount of rainfall. So that is your weighing bucket. So in paper, if it has been asked about weighing bucket rain gauge, you will have to draw this diagram. Okay, and these are all the terms given over here: the funnel and outer cover, collecting bucket. This is the collecting bucket. Balance, linkage mechanisms. This is the linkage mechanism. This is the pen arm. As you can see, it is connected with the graph. This is your rotating chart. This is the rotating chart, and this is your extension spring. After that, we will see tipping bucket rain gauges. So basically, it consists of a sharp edge receiver. You will better understand in this diagram. So it consists of a receiver, sharp edge receiver. After that, at the end of the receiver, it is provided with a tunnel. So as you can see, inside it is provided with a funnel, so that water can be transmitted to the bucket efficiently. Okay, the pair of bucket is pivoted under the funnel in such a way that when one tipper's bucket receives 2.54 mm of precipitation, it tips. Discharge its content to the reservoir, bringing the other bucket under the funnel. So basically it consists two pair of buckets. Okay, it has been pivoted in such a way, as you can see that there is a bucket over here and there is a bucket over here. So the capacity of this bucket to carry the precipitation is of 2.54 mm. So once it carries 2.54 mm precipitation, what will happen? It will tip. This one will discharge the water in this your bucket, and the top one will go up. Then again it will carry 2.54 mm. Then again it will tip and it will discharge the water. Same process happen. Okay, so basically it consists of a pair buckets which is having a capacity of 2.54 mm. Whenever the water gets completed to a 2.54 mm, it will tips and the other bucket will rise up. Okay, the tipping buckets completes an electric circuit causing the movement of a pen. So whenever the movement gets completed, one movement gets completed, the pen records on so the pen to mark a clock on the driving revolving drum which carries a record sheet. So basically whenever an electric circuit completes, it forms a certain reading on the graph, and based on that reading we will evaluate the amount of rainfall. So this is the tipping bucket. So again, as you can see, this is your measuring tube. Whatever precipitation get discharged, it is collected in the measuring tube. Okay, this is the tipping bucket, this is the funnel, and this is the receiver. So if it has been asked in your university exam, you will have to draw this diagram also. Then you will see the floating type of rain gauges. This is the last type of rain gauges. The working of floating type of rain gauge is similar to weighing bucket. It is very much similar to your weighing bucket. A funnel receiver receives the rainwater which is collected in a rectangular container. So as you can see, there is a diagram over here. A funnel is provided. Whatever water is coming, it has been collected in this funnel into a rectangular box. Okay. After that, a float is provided at the bottom of the container. The float is raised as the water level rises in the container, its movement being recorded by a pen moving on the recording drum, accurate by clockwork. Okay. When the water level in the container rises so that the float touches the top, the siphon comes into operation and release the water, thus the entire box is drained off. So how does it work? Basically, the precipitation is collected in this funnel and ultimately it has been stored in this container. In this container, as you can see that there is a float provided over here. So as the water level rises in this container, what will happen? This float will also rise. As the float rises, as you can see that the float has been provided with a pen and it is connected to a graph. So as the float rises, it will draw certain lines on the graph, and with the help of that we can evaluate the amount of rainfall. Once this water gets completed, what will happen? A siphonic action will take place and ultimately the whole water will get drained through this pipe. Okay, hope you guys have understood this. Again, I can repeat it. What is happening? The precipitation gets collected through this funnel and ultimately gets stored into this rectangular box. In this rectangular box, a float has been provided and this float is connected with a pen which is attached with a graph sheet. So whenever the water rises in this, what will happen? This float will also rise. So because of which some lines will be drawn in this graph. Okay. After that, what will happen? Based on the evaluation, we can calculate the amount of rainfall. Once the water gets filled in this rectangular box, what will happen? A siphonic action will take place, and because of that siphonic action, what will happen? This water will drain from this pipe. Okay. So this is how basically your floating type of rain gauge works. Okay, so this is all about your measurement of your rain gauges. Now some numericals are also asked on missing rainfall data or normal ratio method. So basically missing rainfall data means what? You must be have been provided, you will be provided with some 2-3 values. Suppose there is 1 station, 2 station, 3, 4. Suppose there are 4 stations provided in a certain area, in a catchment area, and we have got the reading of the rain gauge at station 1. We have got the reading at the station at rain gauge station of at 2. We have got the reading of the rain gauge station at 3, but we don't have the value of rain gauge station 4. So how can you find out this value? So this value comes as P4. A formula has been provided over here. So we don't know the value of P4, we'll write over here P4. Okay. 1 by m means the number of rain gauges. So how many rain gauges we are using? We are using 4. So we will use 4 over here. In place of m, we will write 4. And P1, P2 and P3 will nothing but the value of rainfall which has been collected. So this is P1 will have certain value, P2 will have certain value, P3 will have certain value. Based on this, we can evaluate what the missing data. Whatever the rainfall should happen on point 4, we can evaluate that. Okay, this normal ratio method is not that much important. We will see it in later class. Okay, after that the important thing is your numericals related to what? Average precipitation over an area. Okay, we will study about this average precipitation area. Okay, so basically what is happening, the rain gauges rainfall represent only a point sampling of the area distributing over a storm. So as you know that rain gauge is provided, suppose this is your catchment area. So if rain gauge is being provided in this location, what is happening? It is providing the data of this particular location only. Though we are assuming it that it is giving the value of the whole area, but it is actually providing the data of this particular area only. So the important rainfall for hydrological analysis is the rainfall over an area, such as the catchment area. So it is saying that if you have to do some hydrological analysis, you need to have a data so that which represent the whole area, not a single point. Okay, to convert the point rainfall values at various stations into an average value of catchment, the following methods are used. So if you have got these points, in order to evaluate it onto the whole area, there are some methods provided so that we can say that whatever values, whatever rainfall data we have collected, that is a true representation of that particular area. Okay, so the first method is your arithmetic mean method. Second is your Thiessen polygon method. Second is your isohedral method. Okay, we will discuss each method one by one, and there are some numericals related to this methods. First one we will see about arithmetic average method. So in this, what is happening? This is the most simplest method of computing the average rainfall over a basin. So basically it is nothing but you need to find out the average value. So suppose this is an area, you are provided with rain gauge 1, 2, 3, or suppose 4, you are provided with 4 rain gauge stations. So what we will do, we will find out the average value of this particular area. So we will write the precipitation. Suppose in this point we have collected 10 mm. Suppose at this stage we have collected 10 mm, at this if we have collected 5, we have collected 6 on this side, we have collected 7 on this side. What we will do, we will add all these value and divide it by the total number of rain gauges. So that is nothing but your average arithmetic mean method. P1 will give you, P1 we will take the value of the precipitation which is collected in the station 1, P2 we will take the precipitation value collected in station 2, P3 will be the value of the precipitation collected in the station 3, and P4 will be the value of the precipitation which is collected in station 4 divided by the number of stations. So how many number of stations are there? There are 4 number of stations, then we will divide it by 4. Okay, so this is the first method, arithmetic average method. Hope you have understood that. Now Thiessen polygon method, this is very important. Mostly the question which has been asked in university is related to Thiessen polygon method. This is basically a weighted mean method. Okay, now what we will do in this, the rainfall is never uniform over the entire area. You must have seen that the rainfall is never uniform. In some portion it is heavy rainfall, some portion it is having light rainfall. So we cannot say that the rainfall is uniform over the entire period or the entire area. So, but the rainfall varies in intensity and duration from place to place. As you know that the rainfall is never uniform over the entire area, over basin or catchment, but varies in intensity and duration from place to place. After that, thus the rainfall recorded by each rain gauge station should be weighted according to the area it represents. So basically it is saying that whatever rainfall has been collected, it should be weighted according to the area, in which area it has been provided. Based on that, it should be evaluated. Okay. For the construction of polygon, the following procedure is adopted. In this, what we will do, we will use polygons. Okay. Now, how to make these polygons? The following steps you need to adopt. Okay. Draw the area to a suitable scale. Whatever area you have chosen as a catchment area, you will have to draw a suitable scale. Okay, showing its boundary. So with the yellow line, you can see that it is showing the boundary, the location of the rain gauges in the area. So you can see that P1, P2, P3 are the rain gauge station. Okay. After that, the outside but close to the boundary. Okay. So this is what we need to do in the first step. We need to draw the area to a certain scale, and the represent the various rain gauges station in that particular drawing. Okay. Second step is what is to join the location of rain gauges to form a network of triangles. So as you can see that we have connected P1 with P2 and then P2 with P4 so that it forms a triangle, then P2 with P3, then P4 so that it forms a triangle, then P3 by P4 and P4 to P6 so that it forms a triangle, then P4 to P6 and P5 it forms a triangle, and P6 to P5 and P7 to it forms a triangle. So in the second step, we need to join all these points in order to form a triangular network. After that, what we will do, draw a perpendicular bisector to the triangle side. Now what we'll do, we'll divide these triangles into bisector on all the three sides. So what you have to do, we need to draw the bisector to this side, we need to draw the bisector to this side, we need to draw the bisector to this side. Similarly, in this case also, bisector to this side, a bisector to this side. In this case also, bisector to this side, a bisector to this side, a bisector to this side, a bisector to this side, and a bisector to this side. So as you can see over here, it is shown in the diagram. A bisector has been drawn over here, a bisector has been drawn to this side, and the bisector has been drawn to this side. In the same manner, we will have to draw all the bisectors to the channel. Now, in the fourth step, what we will have to do, eliminate the formed polygons and measure their area. Now you can see that we are considering only this bisector. Suppose in this P2 region, only this area comes. So we need to measure this area. In P3 region, this area comes, so we need to measure this area. You can see that in this diagram, it is very much clear. In P2 region, it consisting of this area, so it has been given as name as A2. In this, it is having this area, so it will be given as name as A1. This is A3, this is A4, A5, A6, and A7, and so on. Now compute the average rainfall using the following formula. By now, we will use the following formula in order to evaluate the average rainfall. So what we will do, whatever precipitation has been covered in this particular region, will give the value P1, and the area of this one we will multiply it with 1. Plus this the precipitation in this area into what the value of this area, and so on, and divided by the addition sum of all the areas. So this will give you what, the average rainfall by what, Thiessen polygon method. So this is how the Thiessen polygon method is being used. So basically what you have to do, you need to draw the catchment area diagram which by selecting suitable scale. Then you need to represent the station, rain gauge station, by numbering it P1, P2, P3, P4, P5, P6. After that you need to draw a network of triangles. You need to draw the network of triangles. After that you will have to draw what, bisectors to all the sides of the triangles. And then whatever area lies in that particular region, you need to consider that. And by using this formula, you can evaluate the precipitation, average precipitation. That is P1A1. Since in this area only, in this rain gauge, only this area is falling, so we will consider this area only. So P1A1, and in this particular rain gauge station, this area is falling, so we will consider this area only. P2A2, and so on, divided by the number of area, by addition of all the areas. This will give you the value of the average rainfall. Okay, so this is the second method. After that we will see isohedral method. So basically isohedral means what? Isohedral is a line joining the places where rainfall amount are equal to the rainfall map of a basin. So it is similar to a contour. As you have seen that contours means what? The line joining the points of equal elevation. So isohedral means what? The line joining the points of equal rainfall. So this is about your isohedral. Isohedral means what? The line joining the places where the rainfall amount are equal. Since it is joining the line of equal rainfall, it is called as isohedral. After that, an isoidal map shows the contour of equal rainfall is more accurate picture of the rainfall over the basin. So it is saying that the isoidal map shows a contour of equal rainfall, which shows a more accurate picture of rainfall. After that, what we will do in this method, isoidals are drawn on the map by the method of interpolation, and after rainfall at each station is marked. So basically isohedral is drawn with the help of using interpolation values. Using interpolation we can find out which side the rainfall must be of 2.5 or whatever of same depth. Okay, the area between the adjacent isohedral are measured by using a planimeter. So suppose, as you can see in this diagram, a catchment area has been provided, and this is showing a contour isohedral. Basically it is having 2.5 mm depth of rainfall. So that means this line represent, whenever you go on this line, wherever you place your rain gauge, it will show a value of 2.5 mm rainfall only. This is 3, this is 3.5, this is 4, this is 5, and this is 6. So the boundary, suppose you need to find out this area. So what we will do, because this is an irregular shape, we will use a planimeter to evaluate the area. Suppose you need to find out this area, you need to use a planimeter, because since it is an irregular figure, so for that you need to use a planimeter. Okay, so we have evaluated the area. Now P1, P2 and P3 are the average precipitation for each pair of the adjacent isohedral. So in the question you will be provided with what? This is an average value of precipitation happening in this area. This value is nothing but your average precipitation happening in this particular area. This value is what? An average precipitation happening between 3 to 3.5. 4.2 is what? It is the average precipitation which is happening between 4 to 4.5. 4.65 is the average precipitation happening between 4.5 to 5. And this is the average precipitation happening between 5 to 5.5. Okay, so this is basically P1, P2, P3 represent an average value of precipitation happening in that particular adjacent isohedrals. Okay, after that A1, A2 and A3 and AN are the area between each pair of the isohedral. So by giving the name A1, A2, A3, we will mark the area. After that, P1, P2 are the average precipitation of each pair of the adjacent isohedral, and by using this formula you can evaluate the average annual rainfall or precipitation. So A1 multiplied by P1, P2, this area plus the precipitation on this side plus the precipitation on this side, and divided by 2. Okay, after that average A2, this area, this will be A1. Okay, this will be A2, so it will be A2. Now what is the average value of precipitation? 2.46 is the average precipitation. In this side it will be P2 plus P3. Okay, sorry, this side, this will be P2 and this will be P3. Okay, so by using this formula up to the n number of value, we can calculate the average annual precipitation. So this is basically your isohedral method. In the future class we will discuss the numerical about of related to your all the three methods, that is your arithmetic mean method, your Thyssen polygon method, and your isohedral method. Hope you have understood this. If not, we will do the numerical. You will understand that also. Okay.